I started watercolor painting about 6 or 7 months ago. And when I very first started, I watched Emma LaFave videos, including leaf drills, which my husband thinks is absolutely hilarious that there is something called leaf drills. But when you're a beginning watercolorist, a lot of the things that you paint, a lot of the things that you learn, at least for me anyway, is leaves. And so her leaf drills were very instructive and really gets you used to learning how to use your brush. And it's also really helpful just to learn more about your pigments and your paints and what they're capable of and the colors while doing kind of an easy activity and also a low risk activity. I did these leaf drills as part of World Watercolor Month 2025 with Emma LaFave, and I believe that the leaf drills and the leaf activity and brush strokes is on day 12 of World Watercolor Month, but really the whole series has just been very instructive and very insightful. Really, 6 months ago when I started, I probably should have started more with these foundations, and I did to some extent, but I think when I started, I really just wanted to jump in and start creating paintings and start doing bigger and bolder things, and I did that, and no regrets. I think I've learned a lot through doing that, but going back to these kind of basic skills that she's going through daily has just been super helpful and insightful over the last 12 days, and she's doing it for the entire month of July. So I'm really just enjoying the entire series or course that she's put together for World Watercolor Month. The other thing I like about this activity is that it really encourages me to use different size brushes. So I have an array of brush sizes, but sometimes I just have a tendency to use the same size over and over again, no matter what I'm painting. And so doing these leaves is just a nice reminder to, try the 12, try the 8, try the 6, try the 2, and just see what different types of shapes and sizes of leaves that I can do with the different types of brushes. And also same thing with the pigments and the colors, using different shades of green, tossing in some different random colors as well, like red is also just, kind of just keeps it exciting on the page. For example, this is phthalo green, and I feel like everybody is probably really well familiar with phthalo green, but I am not. Again, I'm just a beginning watercolorist and a beginning painter, and so discovering these things, it's all very new to me. And this phthalo green is just so beautiful and, so bright and, arresting. I'm using mostly Daniel Smith colors on these leaves. And so this Daniel Smith phthalo green is just really beautiful. All of the watercolorists and creators and instructors that I follow on YouTube and Instagram, or they tell you, especially for leaves and florals, to really utilize the brush as much as possible. Don't be afraid of it. Light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure, light pressure, heavy pressure, light pressure for all of these leaves. And I probably don't use the brush to its full extent, but I'm definitely getting to know it better. And that's kind of one of the most exciting things for me, is just to kind of get to know each material, each, brush, all of the elements of it together is just fun. And actually this red color is, I think, a mix of cherry red, which is a color from the palette that I have from Andrea Nelson, who does the Andrea Nelson art tutorials on Instagram and YouTube. And she had a sketchbook series this year that was just lovely and amazing. And I learned so much just following along for her too. And her, you know, always kind of finish a lovely little painting after one of her tutorials, which is very fun. So anyway, this color, this cherry red that I'm using now is from her palette, and I actually think that I've mixed it a little bit with Daniel Smith Alizarin Crimson, but it's just a really beautiful color, and I love the contrast with the green. And that's another thing that I've learned on my watercolor journey, art journey. You know, I probably knew this at one time, you know, from school and just long forgot it, but, you know, red and green are complementary colors. So they happen to look, you know, really beautiful on the page together. So it'll be fun for me, you know, 6 months from now, a year from now, whatever, 3 years from now, as I continue along on my art journey, just to see how I did leaves in July of 2025 for World Watercolor Month versus how I do them in the future. So this will be fun to look back on and see how I've hopefully progressed.